Hi everyone, it's Martin. I just started on the exciting journey of a panel upgrade for my Bonanza. Over the next few weeks, and in time for Oshkosh, I'm going to replace my original factory engine gauges with a new JPI EDM 930 engine monitor, and that's what I'll talk about today in this video, I'm going to retire my trusted but aging Garmin GPS navcoms and replace them with two brand new IFD units from Avidyne. Let's get started. It's the middle of 2019, with only 6 months to go before the ADS-B mandate in the United States, which means most avionics shops are busy beyond capacity. To get any new avionics equipment installed without a long wait, I had to get creative. Enter Gene Baker, a friend who in his day job works as an avionics systems engineer and who is also a licensed A&P mechanic with inspection authority. In other words, he's the perfect man to help with an installation like this one. This is a brand new IFD 550. We got some documentation. And that's it. The rest is just foam for packaging. Got the packaging slip. More documentation. And an IFD 440. I did go through the configuration screens of the Garmin GPSs.
Okay.
And wrote down everything and took pictures of all screens.
Okay.
So we don't need to record that anymore. I have that on me.
Okay.
What's the next step?
We'll get started taking the panel apart.
Okay.
See if we can get to the back easily, hopefully. And then we do have one wire to install for your weather display from your ADS-B transponder. So we'll try and figure that out first while we've got the panel apart, and then we'll fit them into the panel and give it a try.
Okay. So before we get into more detail, let's talk about the why. Why would I take perfectly good avionics out of my panel and replace it with expensive new gear? It's a fair question. If you are like me, funds are limited, and we have to choose carefully what we spend our money on. Let's look at the GPS navcoms I had. A Garmin GNS 530 WAS and a GNS 430 WAS. Those are capable and very popular units found in tens of thousands of aircraft. They were great when they first came out. I'll give you 3 reasons why I decided to throw them out anyway. Even in my aircraft, with its old-fashioned steam gauge panel, the avionics capabilities have improved over time, and the various different devices are more and more connected today. Transponders, radios, and MFDs all pretty much worked on their own, autonomously, and the iPad hadn't been invented yet when Garmin designed the GNS devices. What a different world it is today. Everything is connected to everything. My digital engine monitor, yes, even this older one, sends fuel information to the GPS for fuel planning. My transponder sends ADS-B weather and traffic information to several other devices. iPads run electronic flight bag applications and need that ADS-B data, plus they also want to exchange flight plan data with the panel mount GPS to keep the two systems synced up. It's a different world today, one that older equipment like the Garmin GNS series is not well suited for in terms of interfaces and display capabilities, whereas new equipment like the Avidyne IFDs are designed from the get-go to handle this more complex job with ease. Electronics don't last forever, and no manufacturer can support an avionics device forever with repair, service, and spare parts. My GNS units are over 10 years old already, and while prices for these old Garmins on the used market are gradually trending lower, they still sell for quite a bit of money. So I can get decent cash from my used equipment now and apply that towards the new units. In other words, if I plan to upgrade my GPS navcoms at any time, sooner is better. Besides the connectivity I mentioned earlier, new GPS navigators like the Avidyne IFD have a bunch of capabilities that the previous generation of devices didn't have, like support for airway routings, RNP approaches, much more detailed map displays with touchscreen panning and zooming, just like on your smartphone. Automatic identification of attuned frequencies so you can easily verify who you're talking to. And the IFD 550 even contains an attitude indicator with synthetic vision, a very handy backup should my mechanical attitude indicator ever fail in flight. And yes, I could get by without all these new features, but you know what? They'll be great to have, and they will add up to help with my flying tasks. Now, during the installation and configuration of the new units on my own with help from a local A&P, as opposed to dropping the plane off at an avionics shop and picking it up when it's all done, is both a challenge and an opportunity. It's a challenge in that the configuration will require a lot of research and planning to get it right. It's an opportunity in that by the time it's all done and working, I will have learned a lot about my new avionics equipment which otherwise I wouldn't know. And this better understanding of the installation and configuration options means I can better customize things to my liking. Here's how things were connected in the past. It's not a complete picture, but one to help understand some of the choices I had to make during the installation. The 4 devices we're looking at for this exercise are my ADS-B transponder, which is the L3 Lynx NGT 9000 series, the 2 GPS navcoms, and my iPad, which connects through Wi-Fi to the avionics. Today, the iPad connects to a wireless network created by the Lynx transponder, through which it receives GPS position, as well as ADS-B weather and traffic. My 2 existing GPS navcoms, the Garmin 530 and 430, are connected to each other through an RS-232 interface to keep the flight plan and other data synced up between the 2 devices. Also, the Lynx transponder sends traffic information to the Garmin 530 over an ARINC 429 bus. This is not the full ADS-B traffic data, but an older interface designed for TCAS, where other aircraft are shown as diamonds, without a lot of the additional information available today in ADS-B, like the direction and the flight ID. The latest software for the Garmin 530 can actually display all that, but only through a Garmin proprietary data interface, so I would need a Garmin transponder to make that happen. In addition, the display of the GNS 530 has very low resolution by today's standards, so it would be tough to display all that good ADS-B traffic and weather information on its screen. In the new setup, the Lynx will instead send all ADS-B information for traffic and weather to the Avidyne IFD 550 over an RS-232 interface, using the Capstone protocol, which, ironically, was designed by Garmin of all people 20 years or so ago, but they decided to not use it in their products and instead apply their own proprietary protocol. Now, my iPad could still get ADS-B data from the transponder like before, but I also wanted to synchronize the flight plan with the Avidyne IFDs. That works beautifully since the IFD also creates a Wi-Fi network, so you can think of the IFD 550 as the information hub in the new setup that handles the data flow between all connected systems, including my iPad with the EFB app. To make that happen, we have to install just one new wire from my panel, an RS-232 connection between the Lynx transponder and the IFD 550. So here you can see the old and the new side by side. The Garmin 530 WAAS on the left and the IFD 550 on the right. You can see the form factor is the same. And if I turn these around, you can see the connectors are at the exact same positions. The pin layout is the same, so as much as possible, the IFD on the right simply replaces the 530 on the left, and you will see the same on the 440 and the GNS 430 WAAS. One comes out, the other one comes into the same tray. Same dimensions, same connectors on the back, and the only reason we need to open the panel and run another wire is that the IFD can process and display data from my Lynx transponder, the FISB weather and the traffic information that comes in through ADS-B, which the Garmin's could not display like that. So that's the reason we're taking the glare shield off and putting a new wire in. One. seems too simple. This is all it takes?
Yep, that's all it takes.
Wow, there's two.
So now I'm just gonna prop this over here somewhere out of the way where it doesn't pull on the wires.
So to make the additional connection, do you have to pull the connectors off the trays and add the cable? Is that how that works?
That's what I'm looking for right now. Is I'm looking to see which connector I need to pull off of the rack, and that may be one reason I may actually need to pull this one out, depending on how the connectors fasten to the back of the rack on this one. I'll look at the back and see.
Yeah.
Like the Garmin racks, they fasten from the inside, so you actually have to have the radio out to pull the connector off the back. So, as they actually bolt to the back plane of the rack. So if this one's the same way, we'll have to pull it out too.
So do the connectors only have pins for the signals that are currently used, and for any additional signals you have to insert a new pin, or?
Correct. Yep. Inside here, you can see that the holes that are being used will have a little metal socket inside, and the holes that aren't you'll just see plastic.
Okay.
And then in the pin connector, you'll see that there are only pins populated in the holes that are being used. So they are different than anything that the connector kit comes with.
Okay.
So I may have to go dig through my toolbox and see if I can find something that will work.
Okay. Unfortunately, it turned out we didn't have the exact insert available for the connector on the Lynx transponder, so we'll save that for another day. Still, we can put the new equipment in place and start it up to begin the configuration. Then comes the big moment where we power on the newly installed IFD units for the first time.
All right. Yep.
Look at that. That's strange.
A little bit.
Maybe it doesn't know it's a 440. Wants to be a 550.
Maybe. Spacing's about right. Well, that looks correct though.
Oh, should I have read? So press enter.
Looks that way.
Press enter. And what database do we have? Expired in January, so not too bad. And then we were told to press proceed. Press confirm now, or?
Press proceed, line select key followed by the confirm.
Oh yeah. And then
select aux.
Any network for the remainder of this flight. Aux to go to which one? To system?
Yes, sys tab. Then select status/software, LSK. Status software.
Update databases.
Yeah.
Confirm. Now it should boot in maintenance mode. So we got 429, right? The first one should be on high speed, and the data should be traffic advisory.
So is this just touchscreen?
Try it.
I've got the time to show my love what's all about.
The first step is to make the I/O configuration reflect the previous setup with the GNS units. This turns out to be fairly easy because the configuration screens in both units are very similar. So for the most part, we simply set the Avidyne units to the same configuration settings we had recorded from the Garmins. Then I update the database. A new Avidyne IFD comes with a free 60-day Jeppesen account for navigation and terrain data, as well as charts. I went with the full US coverage. The old Garmin units required an expensive proprietary memory card for the database. Avidyne's IFD units use simple off-the-shelf USB sticks for this. The installation is pretty easy. I can load data on both devices at the same time, and before long, I have everything updated.
So you can tell it doesn't show yet what the frequencies are. Once it knows where we are, it should be able to figure out what tower frequency this is and what...
Oh, it'll label them?
Yeah.
Okay.
9378, turn right, enable taxi on the Alpha, remaining frequency.
So Cedar Rapids Tower.
Here, Alpha 3, Alpha with you, Mount Major 78.
KCIDA sauce, that's pretty
And
cool.
look at that, it knows where we are.
Alright.
And I can
Pinch zoom.
pinch zoom. Oh, this is exciting.
Do the newer Garmin's do the pinch zoom?
I do not know.
I don't either.
Where do you want to go? Let's go to Chicago.
There we go. With a star and approach, of course.
So from the first ground check, things look very promising. It is so tempting to go fly and see how everything works in the air. However, to do that legally, Gene needs to make the maintenance log entry and file a Form 337. Since it's getting late, we'll save that for another day. I will have all of this completed in time for Oshkosh, and if you make it to AirVenture 2019, come find me in November 70 Tango Bravo in the North 40. We should be easy to find, right? With only another 10,000 or so airplanes on the field. At any rate, I'll be there. I'll give a few presentations on lean of peak and mixture management, as well as on making flying videos in joint session with Baron Pilot. You can find the times and locations published in the EAA program. Next time, I'll show you how the first test flight went. I hope you found this interesting, and as always, I appreciate a like and a subscribe. See you in Oshkosh or in the next video. Until then, fly safe.